In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, he's Hydra.
And I was muted. So in the top right, it's the Red Terran, Happy. And this is...
If you didn't hear an and, it kind of looks like I started the cast.
I guess. This is the nice thing about not having to use a delay. We don't get stuck with this for 3 minutes like other situations.
Yeah, that's good. He just said thanks everyone for watching. And then he was probably going to go into the fact this is the last cast you'll see on Base Trade TV today. If I were to imagine what he was thinking.
Yeah, it's almost like you word for word knew what I was going to say and then said it for me. That's phenomenal.
I know. But yeah, we're going to have Cheers for Gaming Cup back tonight. So you guys caught the last one. It was on Sunday. And it was all right. We did want to see what the signups looked like, and I think everyone is pretty happy with the names that appeared, especially considering that we have a couple of the most famous North Americans playing here right now. And looking forward to this one tonight, which will be cast by Fear Dragon and someone else, maybe?
Maybe Tempo, I don't know. I'm proud of myself, because I just realized in 11 hours of casting, that's the first time I actually muted myself. So I'll take it. And luckily it was only for a few seconds, but... anyways, going forward with this match, I think one of the things I am worried about, like we saw that game go really well for Hydra, but the question really is like, why did that go so well for Hydra? And Happy, I think for a lot of that game was just stuck playing defensive for far too long, and we've seen the example was I think it was sort of versus BCQD on Dusk Towers. BC was playing the turtle style, where it's not turtle mech, but it's turtle style to ghosts in late game, and you get liberators and tanks and planetaries all over the map, and people were struggling to deal with him. However, it was sort of who just said, you know what, I'm just going to throw down like 17 Nidus Storms, kill your production, and once your production's dead, you can't win the game because you can't make anything. It doesn't matter how much money you do or don't have. So for that respect, I really applaud Hydra's Nidus Storm usage, because it really did catch Happy off guard multiple times. Where if Happy had dropped maybe like seconds before that Nidus Storm finished, before Hydra could even consider sending it across the map, then maybe he wouldn't have been able to afford that. He'd be too busy defending himself and been in the same situation that Happy was. So Happy, who was, by the way, with drops loaded and ready to go moments from doing that, was kind of screwed over by a timing. Now, maybe that's luck, maybe that's intended, maybe that's just perfect. But either way, I would like to see him be the one on the aggressive this time and see just how that turns out.
So, you know, it was kind of a long game, as Happy was really able to stay in there for quite a while longer than we anticipated. But I can't forget that he messed up his stim timing. I assume, that is. If he does it again in this game, then I guess it's something that he just doesn't care about if he's going to play super defensive.
So you say mess up, and I look at it as more like he focused on the Hellbat attack. Like that may have been something where he intended that to win the game rather than have to follow it up.
But that is not like a we've seen that build before. That usually is followed up, but I don't know. I was gonna go into though that like the stim actually I don't think you ever want to have a Terran. Actually, this might get drones, so I'll hold up on that. A couple of lings is really all it takes to kind of mess this up, surprisingly. But all the lings are gone, and now the drones are gonna have to be pulled defensively, and this ended up doing a lot more damage than Hydra wanted.
Yeah, and of course, early game damage for Zerg is always the worst. You can bleed out 40 drones later. You usually have another 40 behind it, but not this early. And it does knock Hydra down a peg. That's obviously a very worthwhile attack out of Happy, but the Liberator is going to try and make this even better. If we can deny any amount of mining, that's going to really put Hydra behind. But, you know, Hydra's third did just finish, and he's just straight up all-inning again. All right. Says, I found your weakness, Happy. I know your weak spot. And the problem is, with production being what it has been, and only one tank really for defense, maybe two, there's not actually going to be a great response to the Nidus Worm. Yeah. Now, the funny thing is, there is a Liberator coming, and the Liberator, not here, I mean, but defensively, could be used to help hold off the Nidus Worm. But the problem is, the Liberator, as we've seen, isn't that great at actually stopping a Nidus Worm. He's got to pick and choose soon. There's the Nidus Worm.
It's the tank drop that really does well against it, and usually also not a greedy build to not a third CC, but he's going to try and have to hold with a tank right there. Like, Queens are going to pop out.
They're going to almost, like, instant be in dead zone, but the transfuses do go off. He's actually getting these units out, but the Liberator taking some good shots. Nothing focused on these tanks, however, because everything was focused on keeping that Nidus Worm alive, and this attack out of Hydra is kind of flopping.
It is.
A lot of SCVs die, but is it enough? I mean, I'm kind of feeling like no.
11? I don't think so.
Well,
the fact that the Liberator... Okay, yeah, you're going to bring up the tank, aren't you?
No, go on.
Oh, well, the fact that Liberator was not target fire by the Queens was huge. A lot of extra damage. The Queen's actually going down so quickly is never ideal. I think Zerg, when they see like nothing, right? Like there was a tank, a Liberator, and a couple of Marines. That's not very scary. So they kind of get overconfident in just putting it, in the middle. But if you put it off to the side and hope they don't, see, that's a lot more room to micro for Hydra. But there was no room to micro for him.
Well, the worst part for Hydra at the end of this attack was seeing a third CC already finished up. Orbital was done. The Overlord scouted it before leaving and dying, and he didn't see it go on location, but I think he knew. There we go with the Ling here. So it's a bit of a tough situation for him because that really had to do a lot more damage. Happy's actually got a really great setup to win this game through macro. And the question for Hydra now goes to what does he plan to do? He's just going to tap out. I don't blame him.
Tap out.
No, I really don't blame him. He was going more queens to set up for what is another Nidus run, but that wasn't going to happen.
It's not a bad plan. That was going to be almost impossible to bring back in the long game. So just say, oh well, it was an all